discovered an entire ancient city beneath the desert.
2 headless marble sphinxes.
Tomb of the giant Gilgamesh found and shocks everyone.
Forcing Fassbinder and his team to abandon their work and flee the country.
Tombs are awe-inspiring leftovers from ancient civilizations which always leave us wondering about our ancestors.
So these are weapons.
From lofty pyramids rising majestically from the fine sand of Egypt to the fearsome terracotta warriors in the tombs of China, these chambers hold the whispers of civilizations lost to time.
It was the world's first monumental structure built in stone.
Join us as we uncover the mysteries of time and unravel the secrets hidden within. Number 1. The giant king god, Gilgamesh. The oldest recorded story in human history was found written on Sumerian clay tablets in the 3rd millennium BC. In 1849, an English historian and archaeologist, Austin Henry Layard, discovered the tablets in the ruins of the oldest library known, which had belonged to 7th century BCE Assyrian king Ashurbanipal of northern Iraq. It revealed the jewel in the crown of all discoveries, clay tablets with detailed inscriptions in a language long lost to mankind. 150,000 fragments of the tablets were uncovered and transported to the British Museum, where they were deciphered by one George Smith. What Smith unraveled was an epic story of Gilgamesh, a man, a half-man and half-god, who was the king of the ancient Sumerian city of Uruk, the most powerful and longest-lasting bastions of ancient civilization which had been lost to the annals of time. The tales of Gilgamesh tickled the fancy of archaeologists for decades without any trace of the famed city. That is, until 2003, when an expedition led by German archaeologist Jörg Fassbinder of the Bavarian Department of Historical Y in Munich made a fantastical discovery which sent shockwaves through the archaeological community and the world. Using technology of magnetic resonance, Fassbinder created a sketch of an entire city buried beneath tons of sand. It was surrounded by a sophisticated system of canals, thus getting titled the Venice in the Desert. But what confounded its finders were the extensive garden structures, field structures, and Babylonian houses. But the finding was not finished with revealing its secrets. What astounded the world was the clear traces of a burial tomb located right beneath the dried-up Euphrates River, just as described in the tablets. It has been the most historical of archaeological finds, and it was the first of many. Number 2. The first emperor of China. Now, Gilgamesh was impressive, but China's first emperor has a league of his own. The tomb of the first emperor of China, Yingzhong, who ruled over the whole of present-day China as the first king of the Qin state, was an awe-inspiring sight. But in 1974, it was revealed that its greatest treasure had been hidden beneath it in a series of pits and tombs. A group of farmers digging a well accidentally came across ceramic figures and reported it to the authorities. Over 30 years of careful and painstaking excavation work revealed 3 major pits, complete with terracotta figures of state officials, laborers, and servants. 2 bronze statues of horses and their riders were intricate works of art. Though the mausoleum is grand, it pales in comparison to the network of pits extending beneath it. Speaking of which, there are 3 vast pits dedicated to storing the complete sculptures of an army of battle-ready warriors dressed head to toe in armor, accompanied by horses and chariots. Number 3. 600 Chinese tombs discovered. This story might not be as grand as the previous one, but it sure is exciting. In October 2017, Chinese archaeologists had been examining a local shantytown for renovation in a village in the city of Sanmenxia in central China's Hainan province when they discovered a cluster of tombs hidden beneath the earth. They went on to excavate 37,600 square meters of burial chambers, numbering 600 in total, right on the bank of the Yellow River. Located between Xi'an and Luoyang, 2 ancient capitals of China, Sanmenxia used to serve as a military and traffic passage, which would explain the riches found within and the sheer number of tombs discovered. Found in them were over 2,000 burial items dug up like pottery, bronzeware, gold and silver ornaments, jade artifacts, as well as a batch of rare cultural relics, including a 2000 2,000-year-old bronze pot with a curved neck in the shape of a swan. The tombs were a hodgepodge of burial eras, nearly half dated back to the Warring States period, some from the Han Dynasty, and the remaining from several dynasties including the Tang, Song, Ming, and Qing dynasties. Number 4. Harkuf tombs. This next find proves that sometimes good comes from evil. Reports started pouring in 2015 about a group of thieves targeting a number of burial sites and trying to rob them with illegal excavations. The government requested an archaeological team to survey the area, which led to the discovery of a number of tombs dating back to the late Greek and Roman periods, roughly 332 BC to AD 395. On the former Egyptian Minister of Antiquities Khaled El-Enani's request, Patrizia Piacentini, an Egyptologist and archaeologist at the University of Milan, led a joint Egyptian-Italian mission to investigate the site. They hit the motherlode of all disco eras when they unearthed more than 30 ancient Egyptian tombs that cover an entire hill in Aswan, an ancient city on the Nile. They originated from the Greco-Roman period and gave enticing details about life in this vibrant trading port. The mummified remains of most likely families buried together were also found. Included were decorated coffins, cartonnage, or a papier-mâché material created from recycled papyri or fabric, amphorae or clay vessels decorated with vine leaf designs, and artifacts such as offering tables. These were all signs of luxury which proved two things: that the buried were affluent and that no one takes their belongings to the next life. Number 5. Watis Tomb. This tomb has a rich yet devious history behind it and proves that a holy man isn't always pure. In November 2018, an arch team discovered a tomb within the Saqqara necropolis. Judging by the sarcophagi and the artifacts found inside, it was the burial site of a high-ranking official. The tomb is 33 feet long from north to south and 9.8 feet wide from east to west, and was built circa 2415-2405 BC. As later inventions revealed, it was decorated with what turned out to be reliefs of Watia, the high priest, his wife, Weret Pitar, his 4 children, and his mother, Meret Mene. Watia was a high-ranking priest and official who served under King Nefertiti Kakai during the 5th dynasty of Egypt, though high praises were inscribed on his sarcophagus, like Wati, purified priest to the king, overseer of the divine estate, overseer of the sacred boat, revered with the great god Wati. His backstory sketched a grim tale of deception and thievery. The pure priest had served his own brother, the king, and had stolen the tomb from Nefertiti. Too bad he hadn't been able to rejoice in his knowledge for long, as a close examination of his skull revealed that he had passed away at the ripe young age of 35 due to a disease, most likely pneumonia. Number 6. The tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun. But Watia had nothing on King Tutankhamun in youth, and his 35 years would get beat down by King Tut's 19 years. Though Tutankhamun was the 13th pharaoh of the 18th dynasty of the New Kingdom from c. 1355-1346 BCE, he was titled the Child King for his youth. Though young, he was a popular king, as a majority of his reign was devoted to restoring Egyptian culture, including religious and political policies which had been changed during his father, Akhenaten's rule. Tutankhamun's tomb was discovered in 1922 by Howard Carter and his team. It soon attracted the world's attention due to the spectacular quantity and value of the items he was buried with. The tomb was elaborate, consisting of 4 chambers and an entrance staircase and corridor. Like all kings, Tutankhamun was buried with a wide variety of funerary objects and personal possessions, such as coffins, furniture, clothing, and jewelry, which were densely packed in. Some artifacts from Tutankhamun's tomb, like his golden funerary mask, are some of the most memorable pieces of artwork from ancient Egypt. Number 7. Valley of the Kings. Let's move on from tombs to entire valleys filled with tombs like the Valley of the Kings. This valley is also known as the Valley of the Gates of the Kings. The name speaks for itself, as it refers to an entire valley dedicated to cutting out tombs for Egypt's kings and noblemen for 500 years, from the 18th dynasty to the 20th dynasty in the New Kingdom of ancient Egypt. The valley, or wadi, is located on the west bank of the Nile, opposite Thebes, now called Luxor, within the heart of the Theban necropolis. The entire area constitutes two main sections: the East Valley, where the majority of the royal tombs are situated, and the West Valley, set aside for the tombs of noblemen, also called the Valley of the Monkeys. The valley and its thereabouts became the center of attention in the 18th century as the burial sites were excavated, but it garnered intense focus in 1922 with the discovery of King Tutankhamun's tomb. It was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1979 alongside the rest of the Theban necropolis. It's still the center of excavation and conservation efforts, and new tombs have come to light as late as 2008. All in all, it represents an archaeological haven boasting of 65 tombs and chambers. The royal tombs are historical delights, resplendent with traditional scenes from Egyptian mythology, home to some of the most extravagant artistry of that era. Number 8. The Tomb of Ramses V and VI. After Tutankhamun, Ramses is another name very familiar to the world. He was the fourth pharaoh of the 20th dynasty of Egypt and was the son of Ramses IV and Duatentopet. This tomb was used to bury Ramses V and is located in the Valley of Kings. He was buried here, but in an unusual twist, his uncle Ramses VI later reused the tomb for his own burial. The tomb was known to many, with the Romans calling it the Tomb of Memnon. Unfortunately, the tombs were raided and stripped of their antiquities a mere 20 years after burial. The mummies of both Ramses V and Ramses VI were shifted to Amenhotep II's tomb at some historical point, where they were discovered in 1898 and taken to Cairo. The architecture of the tombs is extremely distinctive, with some of the broadest corridors, longest shafts around 117 meters in total. It boasts of the greatest variety of decoration, making it an invaluable work of art. The roof and the walls of the chamber are painted in images of Ramses VI with various deities. What sets it apart from other tombs are scenes from the Book of the Earth, showing the sun god's progress through the night, the gods who help him, and the forces of darkness opposing him. The roof of the burial chamber is a sight to behold, with its paintings of a magnificent figure of Nut and scenes from the Book of the Day and Book of the Night. Number 9. The Tomb of Nefertari. This tomb is proof that even kings fell in love, as it serves as an ode by King Pharaoh Ramses II for his wife, revered and referred to as Nefertari Meretmut, the great wife of Pharaoh Ramses II. The tomb was hidden away in Egypt's Valley of the Queens, near the ancient city of Thebes, until it was discovered by Ernesto Schiaparelli, the director of the Egyptian Museum in Turin, in 1904. Nefertari lived around 1300 to 1255 and was the favored wife of the king, who referred to her as the one for whom the sun shines in his writings. To show his love for her, he had the Temple of Hathor built to idolize her as a deity and commissioned the best artists to fill the walls with her portraits. The tomb had been ransacked of all value by the time it was discovered and had nothing except for 2/3 of the 5,200 square feet of wall paintings. Yet these paintings bring Nefertari to life, emphasizing her beauty, especially the shape of her eyes, the blush of her cheeks, and her eyebrows. Extraordinarily, some paintings had lines and red, blue, yellow, and green skillfully incorporated into them to show directions for navigating through the afterlife to paradise. The depictions include deities like Serket, Isis, Khepri, Osiris, Hathor, and Horus. It might have just wall art, but the tomb is the most well-preserved and most opulent of all the tombs. Number 10. Tombs of Dalan Kings. These unique tombs are the remnants of an ancient civilization called the Lycian civilization, which flourished in the 4th century BC. This unique and proud seafaring civilization left its indelible marks on the picturesque turquoise coast of southwest Anatolia and eastern Greek islands. The civilization's breathtaking legacy, carved out directly into the cliff face, is a testament to the exceptional artistry and engineering prowess of the Lycian society. Just like their artistry, the Lycians lived in the region now known as the Teki Peninsula in southwestern Turkey. An independent and proud people, they had their own language and writing system known as Lycian script. The Lycians were known as warriors who resisted invaders fiercely, yet had a very well-established democratic system. This civilization survived till 2000 BC until it was slowly assimilated by the Greeks and the Romans. Clearly influenced by ancient Greek temple architecture, the tombs are carved with distinctive features like pediment, columns, and a porch-like structure. Their features include carved friezes and ornamental details like geometric patterns, animals, and mythological scenes. Number 11. Tomb of Kazanlak. This tomb belonged to an important chieftain of the Odrisai, a tribe settled into the southern part of Thracia, now known as Bulgaria. It was a marvel of the 4th century BCE. The main burial chamber is only 10.5 feet high and is divided into 3 main areas: an antechamber, a main burial chamber, and a corridor connecting the two. The jewel in the crown are the detailed murals covering the walls of all 3 sections. The subjects painted on them run from simple geometric patterns to battles, prancing horses, and a touching farewell banquet for a dead man and his wife. Though aesthetic pleasing to the eye, it's their near-pristine condition which sets them apart as some of the best-preserved artworks from the Hellenistic world. Confirming its special status is the designation it received as a recognized UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1979. Number 12. Ming Tombs. These grand grounds house the tombs of the 3rd Ming Emperor Ju Di, also known by the imperial name of Yongle, who had seized power from his nephew Ju Yunwen in 1402. When his wife Empress Shu died in 1407, Ju Di decided to have an imperial burial ground constructed. 13 of the 16 Ming emperors were eventually buried at this designated ground, the last tomb dating from 1644. The site of the tombs covers 15 square miles, with each tomb's scale and grandeur matched to the royal buried within. Each tomb is protected by a wall around it, with entrance allowed to a few through the Gate of Prominent Favor. The halls are made of Nanmu wood, in keeping with the Ming era. The tombs for the emperor and empress are walled enclosures situated in front of the Seoul Tower. Meanwhile, the officials in charge of the offerings were given the quarters in the surroundings. The bricks used in the structures is unique, as each weighed about 55 pounds and were especially designed with the word shu for longevity imprinted. The pathway to the tomb is lined with giant statues of various animals and officials. Number 13. Kom el Shokafa Catacombs. Alexandria was the cultural capital of the world at one time and gave it many things, one of which was of the Greco-Roman civilization in the eastern Mediterranean, and is home to some of the finest wonders of the world, like the catacombs of Kom el Shokafa. As most things ancient, any knowledge of these catacombs was lost to mankind until one day in 1900, when a man was riding his donkey, stumbled into a hole in the path. Thus came the rediscovery of a labyrinth of catacombs belonging to a private family. An excavation to a depth of about 115 feet was conducted, which revealed 3 levels of rooms and tunnels. Bodies were lowered down a shaft into a passage, surrounded by a spiral staircase for visitors. This passage led to a domed central rotunda and a banqueting hall where relatives feasted in memory of their dearly departed. The crockery was smashed on the floor since it was considered bad luck to take it back, which is why the name Catacombs, which means mounds of shards. Some corpses were buried in niches, whereas others were cremated, and the ashes stored in urns. The catacomb was decorated with an unusual blend of ancient Egyptian and Greco-Roman influenced motifs. The Egyptian god Anubis and the serpented head of Medusa interlinked in the murals. Number 14. Macedonian royal tombs. At first glance, the farming village of Vergina has nothing special to boast of, but at the foothills of the Vermio Mountains in northern Greece, an amazing archaeological find was made in 1977. Vergina was surrounded by the ancient royal capital city of Macedon, Aigai, with its beginnings traced back to the Bronze Age. It was the center of civilization and became the seat of Macedonian kings. A Greek archaeologist, Manolis Andronikos, excavated a number of tombs as well as an impressive tumulus that could be home to the Macedonian king Philip II, father of Alexander the Great, dating back to 317 BCE. The two-chambered tomb offered exciting finds like a golden chest bearing the emblem of the Macedonian royal family and containing the skeleton of a man. A similar chest revealed the remains of a woman. Further excavations revealed another tomb. Another chamber revealed the remains of another man. Though there are doubts regarding Andronikos' identification of Philip II, it is still significant due to the treasures like numerous artifacts and exquisite wall paintings it contained. In light of the significance of the findings, the tombs were designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1996. Number 15. The Amphibolis Tomb. The Amphibolis Tomb, also called the Casta Tomb, is deemed the largest ancient tumulus ever discovered in Greece. It dates back to the last quarter of the 4th CBC and is enclosed in the Casta Mound near the ancient city of Amphipolis, central Macedonia in northern Greece. Excavations began in 1964, exposed a perimeter wall, and other ancient artifacts were discovered in 1970, followed by the tombs with the remains of 5 people. This included a woman aged older than 60, 2 men aged between 35 and 45, a newborn infant, and bone fragments of a 5th person. The contention is that the tumulus is a monument to the dearest friend of Alexander the Great, Hephaestion. This stems from the presence of 3 inscriptions on the tomb which link it to Hephaestion. Number 16. Tomb of the Lord of Sipan. Sipan is another gateway to archaeological wonders. Also called Huaca Rajada, it is a Moche archaeological site in northern Peru in the Lambayeque Valley. Though it was home to some of the most exquisite archaeological treasures, it is most famous for the tomb of Lord of Sipan, which was excavated in 1987. The city of Sipan dates back to 5700 AD from the Moche period and is considered to be the most significant archaeological find of recent times. Though the tombs experienced extensive looting, the remaining artifacts held important clues about the Moche rulers and traditions. The tombs hold distinctive features of adobe construction and clear pyramidal shape. The most horrifying were the depictions of the sacrifice ceremony of the Sipan rulers on murals, ceramics, and other decorative goods, indicating a dark yet powerful past. Number 17. Step Pyramid of Josa. From the Inca, we go to the Egyptian pharaohs, with the earliest being Josa, the first or second king of the 3rd dynasty. Years 26, 70-2650 BC of the Old Kingdom of Egypt was witness to his 19-year rule. His tomb stands apart from others as an innovative design that dominates the Saqqara landscape. Josa's step pyramid is distinctive in its departure from previous pyramid architecture as being the first of a large-scale cut stone construction with an intricate pattern of steps cut out into natural stones. The 6-tier, 4-sided structure made history since it was the earliest colossal stone building in Egypt. Built in the 27th century BC, the pyramid is the central feature of a vast mortuary complex adorned with ceremonial structures and decorations. Number 18. Lord of the Flutes. The wonders of tombs, as much as the horrors held within, will never cease to amaze the world. Take this case as an example when an excavation in Panama coughed up the remains of a religious leader buried over 1,200 years ago with a cache of gold objects. But it was the other numerous human remains that brought the uncomfortable realization to the archaeologists that they were witness to the aftermath of human sacrifices. The grim site found in an ancient tomb in El Caño Archaeological Park in Cocle Province gave clues that the priest was buried with a number of his entourage. The archaeologists found a set of carved bone flutes, which were most likely used in ceremonies with the remains of the priest. It also included gold breastplates, belts, and necklaces, as well as earrings in the form of human figures. Number 19. Kushite Tomb of Queen Kalhat. Meanwhile, the Egyptian pharaohs were predated by the seat of Nubia, which was the earliest civilization of ancient Africa, representing the Kerma culture. Within this, Queen Kalhat was the daughter of King Pi and a queen consort to her brother Shabaka. The tomb of Kalhat at El Kuru contains glyphs that say she is a king's mother, and thus a central figure of Nubian royalty. This family ruled around 2500 BC until it was conquered by the new kingdom of Egypt under Pharaoh Thutmose I around 1500 BC. From that point onwards, this family went out of existence, and Thutmose's heirs ruled most of Nubia for the next 400 years. Number 20. Tomb of King Tutankhamun. King Tutankhamun, or Tanwetamani, ruled the kingdom of Kush, located in northern Sudan, till 653 BC, and was the last pharaoh of the 25th dynasty of Egypt. He lost a long series of battles against the Assyrians for control of Egypt. Thus, Tutankhamun was the last Kushite king of Egypt and remained king of only Nubia until his passing. His tomb was located below a pyramid at El Kuru, and since then it has disappeared underground. Only the entrance and the chambers remain, which are decorated with mural paintings, beautiful remnants of a bygone era. With that, sadly, we have to bring our adventures to a close. Join us for other spine-tingling discoveries coming soon, and don't forget to press that button and subscribe.